You murdered my husband. I have to tell my daughter every day and explain to her why daddy's not coming home.
I forgive him.
Erika Kirk is demanding a speedy trial in the case against her husband's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, after she claims his defense team is delaying proceedings.
The defense team keeps dragging things out day after day, and people are noticing the slowdown. But at the same time, something new keeps popping up around Erika Kirk. Every week, it's something else. And now, the clip that's spreading fast online shows Erika and her mother, Lori, smiling and celebrating with a man many viewers say looks a lot like Tyler Robinson, the man charged in the killing of Charlie Kirk. That visual alone has the internet buzzing. To be clear, there is no verified evidence confirming the identity of the man in that footage, and online speculation can move faster than facts. Still, perception matters, and perception right now is raising eyebrows, because shortly after that video began circulating, Erika filed a motion pushing for a speedy trial in the case against Tyler. That timing, it has people asking questions.
Who's driver? You the driver?
Yep.
Robinson. Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way, and he's just passing through, and he rolled out from here, or no, from there. I think.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in one of those two lanes going this way. I think in the right, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Here's where it gets complicated. Erika publicly said she forgave Tyler just days after the tragedy.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Forgiveness is one thing, that's personal and emotional, but then why push hard for a fast trial? On top of that, critics point out that she hasn't publicly addressed her late husband's reported request for a financial audit connected to TPUSA. That silence is getting attention too. And legally speaking, under Utah law and the U.S. Constitution, the right to a speedy trial belongs to the defendant, not the victim. Only the accused can demand or waive that right. So when Erika makes a public move calling for speed, it may be symbolic, but it doesn't control the court calendar. Still, the optics are loud, and people are watching every step closely. Now people are asking a bigger question. Is this whole push for speed another way to redirect attention away from the controversy surrounding TPUSA? Because some critics believe that the faster Tyler Robinson is found guilty in court, the easier it becomes to shut down outside questions. Once there's a conviction, the public narrative tends to lock in. Case closed. Don't dig deeper. Don't revisit finances. Don't ask about internal disputes. That's what some online voices are suggesting. But let's slow that down and separate fact from speculation. A criminal verdict doesn't legally erase unrelated questions about an organization's operations. Courts decide criminal responsibility, not public curiosity about finances or management. Still, perception is powerful, and timing always fuels discussion. Then there's that footage again. If, and that's a big if, the man seen celebrating with Erika's mother were actually Tyler Robinson, people would naturally ask why someone later accused in Charlie's case would have prior proximity to the family. That's a serious implication. But here's the key. There is absolutely no verified proof confirming that the man in the clip is Tyler. None. In fact, basic timeline facts make that claim shaky. Public records indicate Tyler Robinson was born in 2003, which would make him about 15 years old in 2018, the year of the New Year's video now circulating. The man in that footage appears older than that, which casts real doubt on the online theory. Some sources and commenters claim the person seen is actually Erika's former boyfriend, Ben Cabot Phillips. That explanation would align more logically with the timeline. It's easy for the internet to jump from resemblance to conclusion, but resemblance isn't confirmation, and while people are right to question inconsistencies, it's just as important not to present speculation as fact. Still, one thing is clear: the resurfaced footage has poured gasoline on an already heated debate, and now the spotlight isn't dimming anytime soon. Either way, a loud section of viewers online now claim Tyler Robinson is just a patsy. That word gets thrown around a lot, especially in high-profile cases. But that theory raises a serious question. How would someone even be selected for that role? Did he have any verified connection to Erika's family or to TPUSA? As of now, there is no confirmed public evidence showing any direct link between Tyler and the organization or the family prior to the incident. That part is important. What's adding fuel to online debate is resurfaced body cam footage from 2022. In that clip, Tyler appears socially awkward, unsure of himself, and visibly uncomfortable. He doesn't come across as polished or calculating. He fumbles his words, pauses often, and seems confused about what's going on around him. That presentation feels very different from the image of someone described as carrying out a complex and deliberate crime. Now, here's where things need to stay grounded. Personality traits like awkwardness or social difficulty do not automatically define someone's capabilities, and they certainly don't prove innocence or guilt. People react differently under stress, especially when interacting with law enforcement. A short clip can shape perception, but it doesn't tell the full story. Still, the contrast between the body cam footage and the prosecution narrative has people talking. Some online commentators argue that someone who appears uncertain and socially uncomfortable could be vulnerable to influence. That's speculation, not established fact. And until a court weighs all the evidence, these remain theories circulating in public discussion. But one thing is clear, the footage shifted the tone of the conversation, and now more eyes are locked on every detail. Some viewers who've slowed down that body cam footage frame by frame say Tyler comes across almost childlike in how he responds to authority. He's not aggressive, he's not sharp or strategic, he looks confused, his posture is slouched, his eye contact is inconsistent, and his tone sounds unsure. To them, his body language signals lost, not dangerous. His speech patterns feel socially awkward, not calculated or commanding. Now, that's interpretation, not a clinical diagnosis. But it's what's driving conversation online, because when people compare that version of Tyler to the image being presented in court filings, someone capable of carrying out a deliberate and serious crime, they see a disconnect. The two pictures don't easily line up in their minds. One commentator who reviewed the footage even stated that Tyler appears like someone who could be easily influenced, especially by authority figures or individuals he might view as mentors. Again, that's an opinion, not established fact, but it adds another layer to the public debate. The gap between the socially awkward young man in the 2022 clip and the alleged mastermind in the current case feels wide to many observers. That contrast is what's creating cognitive tension. And then there's Erika's shift in tone. Shortly after the tragedy, she publicly stated, "That man, that young man, I forgive him." That moment was widely shared. Forgiveness is deeply personal, and people respected her for expressing it. But now she's also publicly pushing for a speedy trial and criticizing the defense for delays. That has some viewers confused.
The devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same grit. It has been a long day. Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey. It's all good.
It's important to note that filing motions or speaking out about trial timelines doesn't determine sentencing outcomes, and decisions about charges or potential penalties are made by prosecutors and the court, not by a victim's family. Still, the change in energy has people talking. From public forgiveness to pushing urgency in the courtroom, that pivot is what's raising eyebrows and keeping this case under an intense spotlight. And here's another twist people are talking about. Erika chose attorney Jeffrey Neiman to represent her interests in connection to this case. Online commentators quickly pointed out that Neiman previously represented Alexander Acosta, who faced heavy criticism over the controversial plea agreement given to Jeffrey Epstein years ago. That connection alone sparked intense reactions across social media. Now, to be fair, attorneys represent a wide range of clients throughout their careers. Legal representation does not equal endorsement of a client's actions. That's a core principle of the justice system. Still, optics matter, especially in a case already surrounded by suspicion and public emotion, and online observers immediately began asking why Erika would select a lawyer associated with one of the most criticized plea deals in modern legal history. Some critics claim the choice signals she wants someone experienced in handling high-pressure, high-profile controversies. Others speculate it's about having an attorney skilled in navigating complex public narratives. Those are opinions circulating online, not proven motives, but perception shapes public conversation, and this choice added another layer of intrigue. Then there's the financial angle. High-profile defense attorneys don't come cheap. That naturally leads to questions about funding. Is this being paid privately, through legal funds, or through organizational resources? There is no verified public evidence showing misuse of TPUSA funds or donations. That's important to state clearly. But because transparency details haven't been fully outlined publicly, speculation keeps growing. And circling back to the speedy trial issue, under U.S. law, the constitutional right to a speedy trial belongs to the accused, not the victim. A victim can express support for urgency, but they don't control the timeline. That legal reality makes the public push more symbolic than procedural. Still, symbolism in high-profile cases carries weight, and every move right now is being analyzed under a microscope. Legally speaking, only Tyler Robinson as the defendant can assert or waive his right to a speedy trial. That's how the Constitution works. So when Erika files a motion calling for speed, it doesn't override the court's process, which leads to the question people keep asking: what is the motion really about? Some online commentators argue that pushing for a fast timeline can shape public perception. A quicker trial means fewer months of headlines, fewer long stretches of speculation, and less time for narratives to drift. That doesn't automatically mean anything improper is happening, but timing always plays a role in high-profile cases. Now, let's break down the other side. In any serious criminal case, both prosecution and defense need time. The prosecution usually has been building its case for months before charges are filed. The defense, on the other hand, often starts from scratch after arrest. They may need time to review discovery, analyze forensic reports, interview witnesses, and consult independent experts. That's standard legal procedure, not stalling, just preparation. At the same time, a longer case can mean more public scrutiny. The longer proceedings stretch out, the more media coverage continues. That can bring new sources forward, surface additional documents, or introduce new interpretations of existing evidence. That's not conspiracy. It's simply how extended legal battles often unfold in the public eye.
My name is Joshua Peterson. I worked for Turning Point USA and Turning Point USA Faith, and I knew Charlie Kirk personally. I want to say on the record that there was a inner circle at Turning Point USA that was constantly working against Charlie and his interests and what he wanted to do, as well as there was a Jewish influence in Turning Point that he was not very fond of, that he wanted to get rid of. He tried doing this, he tried creating a Doge department, and he gets assassinated.
So when people debate fast versus slow, what they're really debating is strategy and optics. Speed can create closure. Time can create deeper examination. Neither automatically proves guilt, innocence, or hidden agendas. But in a case already under intense public focus, every move, fast or slow, is being read as part of a bigger chess game. And that's why the conversation isn't cooling off anytime soon.
Another thing that makes me believe this inner circle was constantly working against Charlie was because of the fact that he had a whole entire branch of Turning Point that he had no idea about, and that was the stock market branch. Now, the thing about this branch is it's been getting millions of dollars poured into it over the past 4 years now, and that's been seen through their latest tax returns. This stock market group that Turning Point has been throwing millions of dollars into the stock market for the past 4 years now, and Charlie Kirk had no knowledge of that whatsoever. Now, if you also look into it a little bit deeper, if you look at the staff on that branch specifically, it says zero. It says there's nobody employed in that branch, yet they're pouring $5 million into funds for employees. Make it make sense. That sounds like money laundering to me. It sounds like there's some pyramid scheme going on behind the scenes at Turning Point that Charlie did not know about originally, and I think that he was planning to expose that, and that's ultimately what got him.
The longer a case stretches out, the more room there is for movement. Witnesses can step forward, journalists can request records, independent investigators can compare timelines and documents. That's just how high-profile cases work. Time creates space, and space can bring new information into the light. Some online critics argue that extended timelines could increase scrutiny not just on the criminal case, but also on TPUSA's internal operations. This conversation intensified after reports surfaced claiming Charlie had expressed interest in a financial audit before his death. There is no publicly verified legal document confirming the full scope of that request, but the topic alone has sparked major online debate. While Erika has not publicly announced an audit, internet commentators and self-described independent financial reviewers have started analyzing publicly available tax filings and nonprofit disclosures. One online researcher known as Usis the Parable published a breakdown of reported revenue figures, claiming that of roughly $8.5 million in revenue during a specific period, about $5.2 million allegedly went towards salaries, with another estimated $2.5 million tied to conferences and events. Those numbers appear to reference publicly filed nonprofit forms, though interpretations vary. Now, context matters. Large nonprofits often allocate significant portions of their budgets to staffing and events. Salaries can include executives, organizers, media teams, and administrative personnel. Conferences can involve venue rentals, security, travel, production, and marketing. High overhead alone doesn't automatically indicate wrongdoing. That's an important distinction.
No, but Egyptian
Do
plates.
you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's.
However, critics argue the structure looks self-reinforcing. Events promoting the organization, which in turn raises funds to host more events. They question whether ticket sales covered costs or whether fundraising played the larger role. As of now, there is no court ruling or regulatory finding declaring TPUSA an illegal operation or pyramid scheme. Those claims remain allegations circulating online. Still, perception carries weight. To skeptics, the financial structure raises transparency questions. To supporters, it reflects normal nonprofit operations in a competitive political environment. But one thing is undeniable. As more people review public filings and discuss budget breakdowns, the pressure for clarity is growing, and the financial side of this story isn't fading quietly. When critics break down those publicly reported numbers even further, they argue the picture looks intense. Based on figures pulled from nonprofit tax filings that circulated online, roughly 60% of reported revenue in one fiscal year allegedly went towards salaries and compensation. Around 25 to 30% was reportedly tied to conferences, media production, and event-related expenses. That math, according to critics, leaves a much smaller slice going directly toward program expansion or grassroots outreach, at least on paper. Now, it's important to stay grounded. Nonprofit organizations, especially political advocacy groups, often classify staffing and events as part of their core mission work. Salaries can include strategists, organizers, communications teams, policy researchers, and operations staff. Events can be considered mission-driven if they're designed to mobilize supporters or promote ideological messaging. So high salary ratios alone do not automatically equal misconduct. That distinction matters. But perception is everything. Online skeptics argue that when more than half of incoming funds go toward payroll, it creates the appearance that the organization primarily sustains itself rather than delivering measurable political outcomes. They question whether the events generate lasting policy impact or simply reinforce brand visibility. That's the criticism being circulated. There have also been discussions about executive compensation. Public filings for various political nonprofits across the country, not just TPUSA, often show six-figure salaries for top leadership. In competitive political media spaces, that level of compensation is not unusual. However, critics argue that donors typically expect visible results tied to activism, legislation, or voter engagement, not just online presence or conference circuits. Supporters of the organization counter that influence can't always be measured in immediate legislative wins. They argue that shaping narratives, energizing voters, and maintaining visibility are part of long-term strategy. Again, that's perspective versus perspective. At this point, no regulatory agency has publicly declared TPUSA to be operating illegally based on these figures. The debate right now centers on transparency, efficiency, and priorities, not proven wrongdoing. But when large sums, high salaries, and public tragedy intersect, scrutiny naturally intensifies, and until clearer explanations are provided, those financial breakdowns will continue fueling heated conversations across social platforms. Now, here's another angle critics are digging into. Some online analysts claim that certain high-paying roles within TPUSA appeared to go to individuals with personal ties rather than long resumes in political strategy or nonprofit management. They argue it looks less like a strict merit-based structure and more like a tight inner circle. That's the perception circulating in comment sections and live stream breakdowns. To be fair, many advocacy groups across the political spectrum hire people they already trust. Loyalty and alignment with mission are often major factors in political staffing. That alone doesn't prove misconduct, but when combined with high compensation figures, it creates a narrative critics can't ignore. Optics matter, especially when donors expect professionalism and measurable outcomes. Then there's that moment people keep replaying, what some viewers call Erika's Freudian slip during a past event appearance. At the time, most brushed it off as an awkward phrasing, but now, in light of the financial conversations happening online, critics are revisiting it, suggesting it revealed more about internal operations than intended. Whether it truly meant anything is open to interpretation, but timing has a way of reshaping how moments are viewed. Another financial detail that sparked debate involved asset allocation. Publicly available nonprofit filings reportedly showed a significant portion of TPUSA's assets held in publicly traded securities. According to those documents, tens of millions were listed in investment holdings during one reporting period. Investing reserve funds isn't unusual for nonprofits. Many organizations place surplus revenue into market instruments to maintain long-term stability. That's common practice. However, skeptics question why such a high percentage of assets would be tied up in securities instead of being deployed directly into programming or activism. Supporters counter that maintaining strong reserves ensures sustainability during election cycles or downturns. Again, two sides, two interpretations. As of now, no official authority has declared wrongdoing based on these investment strategies. But when large asset figures and organizational transparency questions collide, public curiosity only grows louder, and the financial microscope isn't going away anytime soon. Now, critics are zooming in on the investment structure. Based on publicly available filings from prior reporting periods, a large portion of TPUSA's reported assets were held in market securities rather than physical property or operational infrastructure. Skeptics argue that for a group presenting itself as grassroots-driven, heavy exposure to the stock market feels unusual. Supporters counter that nonprofits often invest reserves to preserve long-term stability and generate returns that can fund future programming. That part by itself isn't illegal or unheard of. But the real tension comes from the unanswered questions. Who oversees those investments? Is there an independent board making decisions? Are outside financial advisors involved? Nonprofits typically disclose governance structures in their filings, but critics say a deeper audit would clarify exactly how those choices are made and who signs off on them. That's where the transparency debate heats up. There have also been online claims from an individual described as a former employee who allegedly spoke about internal financial management. As of now, those statements have circulated primarily through social media and commentary platforms, and they have not been independently verified by a court or regulatory agency. That distinction matters. Anonymous or semi-anonymous whistleblower claims can raise concerns, but they require documentation to be confirmed. According to those online allegations, there were internal disagreements about financial oversight, and some leadership decisions were not fully transparent across all levels of the organization. However, there's no publicly released legal finding proving that Charlie was intentionally kept in the dark or that an internal group acted unlawfully. Those remain claims, not established facts. Still, perception shapes momentum. When financial complexity, internal tension rumors, and public tragedy intersect, the public demands clarity. Calls for an audit aren't unusual in high-profile nonprofit controversies. They're often the fastest way to settle speculation. Until official documentation either confirms or dismisses these concerns, the debate will keep rolling, and the questions about governance and accountability aren't fading quietly anytime soon. According to online claims attributed to a former insider, Charlie allegedly began raising financial questions months before his death. The whistleblower narrative says he wanted clarity on why certain expenses appeared high and why reported revenue didn't seem to match visible organizational growth. These claims have circulated widely, but it's important to note they have not been independently verified through court findings or official investigations. They remain allegations at this stage. The account suggests Charlie requested more detailed access to financial breakdowns and was told the structure was complex, something that required accountants or specialists to fully interpret. That explanation in many organizations wouldn't be unusual. Large nonprofits often rely on finance teams and outside advisors. Still, critics argue that a president or founder should have clear visibility into major asset positioning and expenditures. The whistleblower version of events claims that whenever Charlie pressed harder, he was encouraged to focus on public appearances and messaging instead of internal accounting. Again, that is one side of a story that has not been legally substantiated, but it feeds the growing narrative online that there may have been internal tension over transparency. Here's where the logic questions begin. If public filings showed tens of millions in assets during certain reporting periods, how could a president not be fully aware of how those reserves were allocated? Nonprofits typically have boards, financial officers, and compliance structures that review major decisions. So either governance was functioning normally and documented internally, or there were communication breakdowns. Jumping straight to conspiracy without documentation would be speculation. Some online voices frame it as a potential internal power struggle. Others argue it's simply the complexity of managing a rapidly growing political nonprofit. Both interpretations are floating around, but there is currently no official ruling stating that money was secretly moved or that Charlie was intentionally excluded from lawful oversight processes. What's undeniable is that financial transparency questions hit harder when leadership roles and large asset figures are involved. Whether this turns out to be routine organizational friction or something more serious will depend on verifiable records, not just viral claims. Until then, viewers will keep analyzing every detail, trying to piece together what's fact, what's rumor, and what might still be buried beneath layers of paperwork and public statements. When people hear claims like that, the reaction is strong. If internal information was intentionally hidden, that could raise serious legal questions, depending on what was concealed and why. But right now, those ideas remain allegations circulating online, not proven findings from a court or regulatory body. That distinction is critical. Accusations of criminal conduct require verified evidence, not just suspicion. On the flip side, some commentators ask a different question. What if Charlie was aware of the financial structure and simply trusted his team? Large nonprofits often rely on financial officers, boards, and compliance advisors. Delegating oversight does not automatically mean wrongdoing. Still, the uncertainty is what fuels the debate. When transparency feels limited, speculation fills the gap. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some online voices claim Erika's push for urgency in the trial is about optics. They argue that closing the criminal case quickly could calm public attention around organizational finances. But that's an interpretation, not a confirmed motive. Filing motions or speaking publicly about timelines does not prove an attempt to silence broader questions. Courts control outcomes, not public messaging. There's also the claim that most viewers doubt the prosecution's case. That's difficult to quantify. Social media discussions can amplify certain narratives, but they don't necessarily represent the full public. The legal system operates on evidence presented in court, not online commentary. Until the trial unfolds, the official record remains incomplete. Financial scrutiny, however, is real. Donors often expect clarity about how funds are used. When large asset numbers, executive salaries, and investment strategies are discussed publicly, supporters naturally want transparency. That doesn't mean misconduct occurred, but it does mean accountability questions will continue until addressed clearly. It's also important to stay responsible when discussing evidence. Claims that material was destroyed or ignored have not been confirmed by any public judicial finding at this time. Allegations like that are serious and require documentation. Without verified proof, they remain unproven assertions. As for inconsistencies in timeline, motive, or opportunity, those are precisely the elements a courtroom is designed to test. Defense and prosecution will present evidence. Experts will be cross-examined. Facts will be weighed under oath. That process is slow for a reason. It protects due process. What we're seeing right now is a collision between legal proceedings and online investigation culture. The internet connects dots quickly, but courts require documentation and proof. There's a big difference between suspicion and substantiated fact. If you've been following every twist, drop your thoughts below. Do you think this is a case of financial mismanagement being misunderstood, or do you believe deeper transparency is needed? Keep it respectful and fact-based in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Turn on notifications because this story is still unfolding, and we'll keep tracking verified developments as they come. See you in the next one.